they want from Nick. I think it's going to be really tough for him. It's going to be tough.
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with the latest physique update of the reigning Mr. Olympia champion, Derek Lunsford. So an interesting caption there by the champion. Is there a connection of this caption to the statements made by some people that Derek was afraid to take off his shirt at the Battle of Mr. Olympia training video because there wasn't good enough lighting there? Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Now on a separate note, we just saw all these guys get posing on the same stage, under the same lights, at the Pittsburgh Pro like a few weeks ago. And I think majority of the bodybuilding community agreed on this, that Derek was the most impressive guy on that stage. Plus, we have to keep in mind, these guys will be judged on the stage under the same lights, on the Olympia stage in October as well. So this statement doesn't really make any sense. So Derek looks really great during the off-season phase, and the fact is he has always looked superb in the off-season. And we are now at 18 weeks out of the Olympia. So there are only a few more weeks left of this off-season phase, and then the prep is gonna officially start. So a guy like Jay Cutler, who was there in attendance at this year's Pittsburgh Pro guest posing, he told us that Derek was about 6 weeks out conditioning at that guest posing. So there is absolutely no reason to doubt that Derek won't be in shape on the stage, especially ever since him and Hani Rambar started working together. I mean, throughout Derek Lunsford's pro career, we have never seen him coming off. We have never seen him out of shape. Conditioning wise, he has always been spot on. He has faced other peaking issues, like the fullness, like the lack of hardness. But other than that, he has been really spectacular. And not only have both these guys won the 212 title together, and then Derek became the first man in the history of the sport to win Mr. Olympia in the men's open as well. So 2024 is such a great opportunity for Derek Lunsford to solidify himself as a very dominant Mr. Olympia. Since it was extremely close last year, and we have seen the Olympia trophy change hands like 5 times in the last 6 years. So everyone wants to know what's next for Quinton Beastwood. Is he gonna keep going? Is he gonna compete more? Or will he take a break? And yes, I know so far he has done only 2 shows this year. And originally his plan was to do 4 shows. But we have to keep in mind, Quinton has been in prep for more than 20 weeks now. Because that prep for the Neo Pro, that was a very long one. Now, as much as we all want to see him compete more, especially at this upcoming Vancouver Pro, which is happening next month, this is all dependent on his blood work, which I think after 20 weeks of prepping, taking all the gear, all the PEDs, that is probably going to be less than ideal. So this is what Quinton has to say about his future plans.
Honestly, guys, I want to keep going. I want to keep pushing. However, like, I got into a good little groove, man. You know, I found my little swag, so I'm feeling good. I want to keep pushing, but at the end of the day, I've been pushing for 27 weeks at this point. You know, 24-week prep going into New York and Toronto 3 weeks later. So, I got to do blood work, and yeah, like, I'm willing to go either way, but you know, my health comes first, longevity comes first. You know, there's more to life than bodybuilding.
But the bodybuilding world saw that what his physique is truly capable of last night. The Neo Pro was like the worst showing of his career, and everyone, including myself, started dodging him. And this is coming from a guy who is a huge fan of Quinton. And if we keep it 100% real, only a few of us had him in the top 2 at Toronto Pro. But I have to say he proved his worth, and he proved a lot of people wrong last night. Now, people do label anyone who has a different opinion as a hater, and that is simply not true. But let's give credit to Quinton. He was able to make such impressive transformation in just 2 or 2.5 weeks time. And guess what? Who he publicly thanked after this show? His former coach, Dorian Hamilton, who picked him for Toronto Pro. So I won't be surprised at all if Quinton starts working with Dorian full time and does another prep with him, maybe later during the year. For now, let's just hope that his blood work comes back fine and we get to see him compete more this year. Maybe have another go at that Olympia qualification. Because I'm sure all of us want to see him on that Olympia stage and see how he compares with some of the best in the game.
Do the blood work tomorrow morning, fasted, get the results back on Wednesday. If I could do that and it comes back good, yeah, I'll do Vancouver. But I'm not optimistic about it, to be honest. I don't think it's going to come back looking too good. But ultimately, we don't know. But
So Nick Walker fans obviously were not happy to hear that 3rd place comment coming from the reigning Mr. Olympia. Derek Lunsford. And that statement is still being discussed. And we even saw that in Nick Walker's recent Q&A. And that is why I have always maintained my stance on this, that some kind of trash talk is extremely good, and that is so productive for the sport, as that creates rivalries. That is what creates the engagement. And at the end of the day, this is a business, and that is what sells tickets. So what response would you expect from Nick Walker other than this? So since the Olympia 2021, where he made his debut, every show that Nick Walker has entered, he said that he's gonna win it. He fell short on most occasions, but his confidence has always been sky high. We have never seen his confidence shaky. So of course that is a response that you would expect from a guy like Nick Walker. But what do the other pros think? Well, Sergio Oliva Jr. was on Jay Cutler's podcast, and he got asked how would Nick Walker do at this year's Mr. Olympia. So from his response as well as from Jay's response, I have to say Nick Walker will be lucky if he is able to place top 3 at this year's Mr. Olympia.
Because Nick is the ambassador for the freaks. He can make his legs bigger, of course, and then that might even out his upper body a little bit. But I feel like if he was going to do that, it would have been a huge change already in those last couple of years. So I always say is, where can he go from here? And I think what they want from Nick, I think it's going to be really tough for him.
It's going to be tough to repeat a third place finish in a lot of people's opinion. So,
and as I said previously, that Neo Pro win, that did not raise Nick Walker's stocks whatsoever. In fact, his stocks declined because being pushed so damn hard by a guy who is gonna make his Olympia debut this year, Martin Fitzwater, a guy who just won his first pro show. So that 1-point victory, that wasn't expected at all. But at the end of the day, these guys will be judged on the basis of their performance on that particular day. And the past performance aren't really gonna matter, but they are a good source of speculation. But that being said, Nick Walker really has to prove himself big time at this year's Mr. Olympia. A lot of these guys, like Samson Dauda, like Andrew Jack, they are gonna be gunning so hard for his spot, and they do have better shape than Nick Walker. So Nick Walker is well within his groove right now, at 18 weeks out of this year's Mr. Olympia. And he needs to make some serious improvements, especially in his waistline, before this year's Mr. Olympia, if he wants to be an Olympia title contender. Next up, we have a physique update from John Delarosa. He is 6 weeks out of his next show, which we all know is going to be Tampa Pro. So if he doesn't win Tampa, he is going to be going for Italy Pro. And we all know Hunter Labrada is doing that show, so he's going to have to battle it out with him there. And although both Hunter and John have improved a lot since last year, but the size on Hunter this year, that looks absolutely ridiculous. That is so insane. So he is going to be really hard to beat by a guy like John, and I don't think that's possible. So John was so impressive at this year's Arnold. Both in Ohio as well as UK, he was absolutely spot on. And it is really unbelievable. They went through his entire career, not looking this good. And then in the late stages of his career, he finally connected extremely well with his current coach, Patrick Tour. And these guys brought absolutely the best conditioning, the best package of his life. And they have been improving show after show. And we have to keep in mind, this guy is 40 years old. So that is really something. Now, most of us still think that it was a mistake on his part, skipping Detroit Pro, because you never know who is going to show up at Tampa Pro. It has been a few years since John competed at the Olympia stage, but this is going to be the best version of John on the stage. And with the kind of conditioning that he has, he is capable of beating a lot of big names. So the time that he took off after this year's Arnold Classic UK, that was put to good use. He has put on some solid size in all the right areas. And we have seen him nail his condition in 2 back-to-back shows this year. That Arnold Classic package with the added size, that is going to be a deadly one. Some more updates of Rafael Brandao came out today. His coach Neil Hill is pushing food real hard, so that he puts on some solid tissue before these guys start their Olympia prep for 2024. So this was Rafael's first prep with Neil Hill, and they nailed it absolutely 100% at the Arnold, Ohio. So credit must be given there. He was in a way better condition than Samson Dauda. But Samson still beats him in the size department big time. Rafael still lacks the thickness. He lacks the density, especially in comparison to Samson. And that is why Samson was able to beat him, making Rafael realize how important it is to be big in the men's open. Now that being said, his team did mess it up for the Arnold Brazil, and he was extremely lucky to get away with the win there. But the fact is, now we know how Rafael Brandao looks like when he is at his 100%. And that was really impressive. So he hasn't got a single weak shot. And that was the feedback given to him by Talmanian after the Arnold. So I believe that is all the motivation that Rafael Brandao needs for this upcoming Mr. Olympia. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.